Former child star and perennial teenager Corey Feldman has burst onto the scene with his third studio album, Angelic to the Core. That's coming up next on JO42 Reviews. Corey Feldman and his backline of angelic hotties made a considerable splash on the Today Show with his disarmingly eccentric dancing and bizarre pop stylings. Rather than join the cavalcade of sarcastic put-downs already being leveled at the man, I wanted to take the opportunity to give the music itself the kind of honest commentary and criticism that has been sorely and severely lacking in the fallout from Feldman's heavily lambasted Today Show appearance. Well, I hate to be snide, but it's certainly very telling that the second sentence from the album's press release describes the packaging as biodegradable, as though environmental concerns over mass disposing of the materials was in the forefront of the PR team's mind. While Leadoff Single Go For It is a certified earworm, the rest of the music goes in one ear and out the other without a single memorable hook to be found. It's clear that Corey is channeling Aqua, Basement Jaxx, Ace of Base, Lady Gaga, Scissor Sisters, and a whole host of other post-disco dance floor mainstays, but where those artists made their infectious grooves contagious by way of quality songwriting, Angelic to the Core sounds like a collection of B-sides and loops intended to showcase studio MIDI software rather than create enjoyable music. The album follows the conceptual stylings of hip-hop with little spoken-word skits tying the tracks together. These usually take the form of Corey talking to his angels in the style of Charlie's Angels. Apparently this is supposed to be funny, but instead Corey just sounds like a lecherous old man with the sex drive of an unparented 13-year-old. When it comes to offering specific examples of criticism, it's hard to know where to begin. Disc 1, track Duh, features Corey attempting to rap and forgetting his lines. I suppose the context suggests that it's supposed to be intentional, but given his extremely limited musical ability, it still seems hard to believe, especially when Seamless ends with the same problem. Baby Blue Eyes seems sweet in tone, but ends with Feldman singing a raspy rendition of You Are My Sunshine that evokes mental images of serial killers and horror movies. For My Love begins with Feldman saying, "Sometimes words don't express the feelings we really mean, so I wrote these feelings for you."
What?
This is the general tone of the album. It stumbles from one oddity to another, and the hooks disappear from memory as soon as the next track begins. The album closes with a tedious, pitch-imperfect cover of John Lennon's Working Class Hero, and I have no idea why. The album isn't totally without pleasing moments. Everybody does open with a nice jazz-influenced guitar passage before disappearing into the same keyboard demo button nonsense of the rest of the album. There's a nice distorted guitar tone on Seamless, which also features Fred Durst in a surprisingly lucid performance. A Cool Sax Solo can also be heard for a time on that track as well, but at the end of the day, all this feels like window dressing rather than the texturing of an already exceptional song. One of the reasons that Rick Rubin, for example, is such a fantastic producer is that he requires his artists to break their songs down to their most basic elements and, once having gotten to that point, build them back up from there. Listen to LL Cool J's Radio for a great example of that. None of the songs on Angelic to the Core would pass the scrutiny of being performed with solo voice and a single accompanying instrument. Corey Feldman's greatest influence, bar none, is Michael Jackson, and it's clear he's invoking MJ in the extreme in both his sound and look. It's part of the reason he's a terrible vocalist. He's too busy cribbing Jackson's signature snarl rather than developing himself. In this regard, though, I'm reminded of something I heard from a videographer who worked with Michael Jackson and described the King of Pop's visual style by saying, "Michael likes lots of stuff." Well, that's certainly true. Jackson's videos and album artwork have always had an everything but the kitchen sink kid in a candy store quality about them. It feels like this is what Corey is going for here, but he doesn't seem to realize that Jackson pulled it off for two reasons. One, he had the musicality to back it up, and two, the public at large had already accepted and championed him as an artist long before he went wild with his image. Earlier this month, I reviewed Florence Foster Jenkins, the hit biopic about the life of one of the worst singers in human history. As many commentators on that film have noted, it would have been impossible for Jenkins' novelty career to have endured in the modern day, given that social media would have made it impossible for the many yes men in her entourage to keep her from finding out how horrible she really was. Feldman seems to have proven that speculation true. You don't get to screw up on the internet. It's either solid gold right out of the gate, or you get 88,000 people telling you that you suck. There's no middle ground. In the end, the album's limited musical appeal allows it to be easily outshined by the cringing cheesiness of the thematic framework. While I really do admire Corey's chutzpah and his willingness to follow what seems to genuinely be his muse, I can't say that it's produced sonically pleasing results. Thumbs down. If you enjoyed this commentary, please help me continue to bring you more content by making a donation to patreon.com/JordanOwen42. Your contribution will help me turn this channel into a hub of libertarian pop culture discussion and current events commentary. Thank you for listening, and as always, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already.